You're listening to In the Lead, the podcast for real estate pros looking to grow their business online. Whether you're new to the business or a seasoned pro, we come to you each week with the latest technology and online strategies to help you sell more, work less, and make a difference in your community through your real estate business. The show is brought to you by Easy Agent Pro, creators of Lead Sites, the ultimate lead generation website for agents. For more information, go to easyagentpro.com/leadsites. Welcome to the new In the Lead podcast by Easy Agent Pro. I'm your host, Sean Dominski, and if you can tell, we're getting a little bit of a facelift here. We're just kind of doubling down, and we're just going to try something new and putting together some new kinds of content for our lead site subscribers, for our audience, for our blog readers. Since this is the first episode of 2016, I sat down with Tyler Zai, President and CEO of Easy Agent Pro, talked a little bit about his habits and his strategies for productivity that he implemented in 2015 to get Easy Agent Pro to where it is today. We'll talk about different things you can do and strategies that you can model to make 2016 your best year yet. Like, how do you approach New Year's resolutions, since that's kind of timely where we're at right now, what people are thinking, what's on their minds?
Yeah, I hear you, Sean. I think New Year's resolutions, the most interesting thing about them is, like, you typically get to the end of the year and you're like, oh, I could have done that harder. I could have, done that, like, easier. I could have, like, there's all these could haves when you get to the end of the year with New Year's resolutions. And the thing for me is, like, that just brings up all sorts of angst in my head, and I hate angst. So I'd like to pick a goal. Like right now, my goal is, health was one of my three, because I'm getting a bit bigger than I was. And so, like, if I were to just say I'm going to go to Planet Fitness, or I'm going to go to the Y, or I'm going to go to wherever, Gold's Gym, every Monday, it's too abstract for me to comprehend what that actually means. And I get really lazy when I go to the gym. So, like, I know if I go to, like, Gold's Gym, I'm going to, like, get there and I'm going to look at those big circle things that you put on the lifting sticks, and, like, I'm just going to put them on there and do 10 and then maybe, like, quit and go to the sauna.
Are you referring to weights and bar?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, like, that's not my thing. I can't do that. And so if I set this really abstract goal of going to the gym and then maybe doing something there, like, I just can't do that. I'm not that person. And kudos to you if you are. But for me, it needs to be something that's highly actionable. And what that means is there's time set aside for it. It's highly, like, accountable what it is, and it scales as the year goes on, right? So it grows, making it more challenging. There's a time element to it where I know that time's going to be. So for me, working out in 2016, I'm going to do 10 push-ups, 10 sit-ups right before lunch every day. So I'm not going to eat lunch until I do that. And so what I'm going to also do is I'm going to grow that every week by 10, right? So by the end of the year, I'm going to be doing a lot of sit-ups and push-ups. But it makes it super easy in my head. It's something that, like, did I do that today? The answer is yes, I did. And it's really done, and it's going to scale, and over the time, it'll go up. And maybe it'll encourage me to do more physical activity because I like how I feel after I do that. And it just starts the ball rolling, because most of the time, once you get the ball rolling, what I find in my own life, whether it's, investing, or whether it's building a business, or whether it's starting a blog, or whether it's, doing real estate, it's you start, and just the action of starting, it tends to keep going. It's like that Newton's law or whatever. So the ways to then hold yourself accountable to that goal, which is then sort of the next thing. I actually have, I can show you on my phone. You all have iCal on your phone, or Google Calendars if you have an Android, whatever you have. And on that, you have alerts, right? So I set an alert every day, and I have a daily alert, and it's actually just a Google form, right? And so every day at 9 a.m., I get this thing that pops up that says your daily journal. I'll hold it up to the screen. It's basically what it is it's a link to a Google form, and I click it, and Google's really mobile, so it shows up nice, and it asks me 3 questions. Did you read today? Did you do your workout thing? And what's one thing you learned? So right there, like, instant accountability to my New Year's resolutions, and my New Year's resolutions are highly actionable, right? Like last year, my goal was growing Easy Agent Pro's blog traffic. It succeeded. And I looked back at it, and there was literally nothing I could have done more to grow it. Like that was the feeling I got. And so at the end of this year, the way I set up that goal, I'm literally going to sit and say, I couldn't have achieved that goal anymore. It wasn't this abstract, I'm going to go to the gym more. And the second that's your goal, then when you get to the end of the year, you're like, oh yeah, I could have done it more. And it leads to this non-satisfied, and you're going to like not do the goal. But when you set it up that way where it's achievable, there's a time to it, and then you build in an easy checkpoint like hitting yes on the Google form. And then with Google Forms, it puts in spreadsheets, and you can make fun diagrams or whatever like we all like to do. But
I don't know about all
cool.
of us. I don't know if making diagrams is necessarily everyone's version of fun.
But, I suppose.
And also I guess the other thing is you're not necessarily committing to going to the gym more. You're committing to going to the gym every Tuesday and Thursday, or every day, or whatever makes sense for the goal and what you're trying to achieve. And then also you're kind of pulling in that like don't break the chain type of mindset too. I don't know if you're familiar with that, the whole Jerry Seinfeld. Because you're telling yourself like I'm going to fill this form out every day, and it's almost like if you don't get to it, like there's at least some element of the plan where you're like, I got to do this every day. I got to at least fill the form out, even if it kind of creating that habit. If you do miss it or you're unable to do something, at least you have something where you're at least checking in every day, and it's like keeping that habit kind of first, front of your mind, top of your head.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's all that resolutions are meant to do, is reprioritize. There like 6 or 7 things that you can really like actually care about, and so it's figuring out what those are and figuring out like how you can actionably improve upon those each day. We all have the same amount of time, but what you do with that time is what you can really make big changes in, whether it's your weight or your real estate business.
Right.
And if we're tying this back to real estate, which we probably should, because working out's boring, but like it's instead of hearing about cold calling and saying, okay, I'm going to cold call more this year, or I'm going to work expireds this year, or hearing about blogging and saying I'm going to blog this year, it's okay, this is something that 5 to 10 industry experts recommend that will positively impact my business, right? So let's take blogging. Let's say you read the statistics, right? HubSpot says it's great. Easy Agent Pro says it's great. They've got tons of traffic. I see all these other agents like Ryan and Raleigh and Bill Gass and all these other agents like with successful businesses that say it's great. Mm-hmm. Okay, so theoretically that should work for you. Like if you do sit-ups, that should make you, have less of a gut. If you do blogging, you should have a bigger business, right? So the next step for me is to completely stop reading and questioning things about that and to just do. So I don't read, like I've already made up what I'm going to do fitness-wise. I'm not going to read another goddamn book. I'm not going to read another goddamn blog post. I'm not going to do another video. I'm not going to change halfway through. I'm just going to commit to that for this year. And I think that's where a lot of people shortchange themselves, right? They do something and then they find something better and they do that, and that selling out is where you lose all types of momentum. It's where you lose all of the good stuff, right? If you're going to start blogging, the good stuff that you get in your business is 3 months down the line, but it's great stuff. It's equity. It's like putting money in the Vanguard or in the stock market. Like it generally goes up and to the right over time, and you make more money, and compounding returns are great. That's like blogging, right? You write one blog, it compounds, and the returns compound over time. And if you write one blog a week for this entire year, maybe instead of taking a 3-hour lunch on Wednesdays, or maybe on Saturday from 4 to 6, you write a blog, because you can do it in that time. It's not that hard. Every darn Saturday, and you hold yourself accountable to that. Over the year, you're going to see the returns on that go up. Where the other side of that is you can relate this to investing or to working out. The person who invests in something, the second the stock goes down, they sell out. that's what you're doing if you write one blog and then stop. Or the person who goes to Planet Fitness from January 1st to January 14th doesn't see their weight budge 1 pound, right, and then stops going and says, this isn't for me, I got to find a better diet, or I've got to find a better, like, right, that's just unrealistic. And so, like, which personality are you? How can you hold yourself accountable? It's really just putting on, like, you know, the noise canceling headphones, picking something that people know, like, just know work, and then rolling with it throughout a long period of time. Like, and by long I mean 3 to 12 months.
Right, right. Now, do you have any advice for staying motivated in those areas where you might not see the results right away, where it might take a while? Kind of like, and we keep going back to fitness as an example, but right, I think it is a good example, because you're not going to get stronger, you're not going to lose weight, you're not going to get bigger, whatever your goal is, by going to the gym for 2 weeks. You really have to make it a consistent lifestyle change over the course of X number of months. Now, I'm not a huge gym rat, so I don't really know how long it takes. Right. All I know is that if I go to the gym and I get on the treadmill for 10 minutes, you know, a couple times a week, that's 10 more minutes a couple times. You know, that's going to be 20 to 30 minutes a week more than what I was doing before. And right, it's kind of like one of those, I don't know if it's going to help me get to wherever I'm trying to go, like lose 20 pounds or whatnot. I just know it's not going, you know, I'm going to have a benefit. I'm not sure what the benefit's going to be, and I have a feeling it's going to be more than what I think. But at the same time, you know, I'm the type where it's like, I can't say like, oh, I'm going to do X amount of reps of this weight and get to the point where I'm right, doing this and that. Like, something about that might kind of bores me, maybe because it just creates additional pressure and stress. Whereas, you know, it's something like going to the gym is something that's like, it's kind of like, it's like an extra. It's not like my main thing. Whereas like blogging for real estate, a lot of, you know, like the big question is this lead generation? Is this prospecting? Is this something I should do on top of my prospecting? And if so, how can I do it in a way that is going to benefit my business one way or another? You know, because it's hard to know if you don't know what the results are going to be. It's hard to set that goal. Does that make sense? Like basically.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So, yeah, like, and it's the thing that's funny about it is it's you find it everywhere, right? So we talk about fitness, finance, and real estate, right? And so when you start out, I got an email from someone. It was 2 or 3 weeks ago, and they're like, I've sent. It was one of our lead sites customers. I've sent expired postcards for the past, might have been 4 weeks, maybe 2 months, to these people in New York, and it's not working. Should I stop? What should I do? Like, humans are notoriously bad at calculating the returns of a compounding effect over time, right? We really, really, really like things to be simple. We like to see 2 + 2 = 4. But in business, it never is. It's always an exponential curve. It's always the effect over time. You don't see it, and then holy cow, where'd all that traffic, where'd all those leads come from? Whether you're talking about blogging, cold calling, mailing flyers, mailing postcards, building a referral business, right? So building let's compare this to something that everyone knows works, like building a referral business, right? Like we could write tons of posts on how that works, right? How do your first 3 to 5 years look like in a referral business, Sean? What do they look like?
A lot of cold calls, knocking on doors, you know.
Right, but what are you doing? Like, what's the mindset during that?
Trying to create a referral business?
Yeah. So, like, when you're knocking on those doors and when you're doing those calling and when you're calling people in your database, like, what's the mindset?
I guess the mindset's kind of like planting seeds. You know, like where the idea is that I'm just going to do the best I can, and hopefully at some point this will turn into something. So you're networking, you're meeting people.
Yeah, and if you tie that like to blogging, which is just one tactic, I know that. And actually, it's kind of funny. In my last post I wrote is that I don't like blogging. I love leads. So if you look at blogging specifically, you're really just sowing seeds. 90% of home buyers start their search online. 200 34% of real estate searches in Google have gone up 234% over the last 4 years, right? That's insane growth. People are now turning, and you even see it in the way you buy products, right? You have an Amazon app on your phone and you push a button and it's come to you. You read reviews online, you go on Google and you search for the best. I did it with this shirt. Like, I was looking for the best shirts that wick away moisture and like are really thin, because I was looking for lighter things to wear. And so it's like this 32 Degrees company or whatever. They have nice reviews on that, right? So you go online, you read blog posts, you read content, you're on social media. And so that's a general hypothesis that has been proven true through statistics, through what you're probably doing in your daily life, and it will breed true 10, 15 years down the line. So is it reasonable that if I sow a seed today, that is a blog post, that at some point in the future, that one blog post will maybe show up in a Google search, will maybe help me on social media have something to actually post, so that when I share it in a Facebook group, some mom clicks it who's interested in, the tactic I had for redecorating a kid's room or for storage, and then they read that, and then they sign up on my email list, or their lead captures them, then I'm in my database and I'm working them. It's the same mentality as a referral business. You're sowing seeds that in the future will produce something, and once you've sown like 50 seeds, if you're doing one a week for a year, that's 50. If you're doing 2 a week for a year, that's 100. Once you've sowed 50 or 100 seeds, the returns compound on each other, right? So once you've gone to the gym every day for a year, like what you're lifting at the end of that period, it's going to be heavier and more beneficial to you than what you were lifting day one, right? So I think that makes everyone can see that, right? So someone who let's say Tyler goes to the gym and what's that one where you put the bench press, right? Yes. So I start out and I'm just doing the bar, right? What am I going to be doing if I go every day of this year and start lifting the bench press? By the end of the year, I'm going to be up to probably a couple of those big ones on there, right? And that's going to be more beneficial to me, yes. Right? So if you blog, the 50th blog is tons more beneficial than the first blog. And the 150th blog is like insanely more beneficial than the first one. And you see that everywhere in life. In investing, right? Like you put money in today and like it's just insanely more, like the compounding effects. I think I've read like if you put $1 in when the S&P 500 started, you'd have like $15,000 today. And adjust it for inflation, maybe that's like $9,000, right? So it's the investing in yourself over time. Blogging is one way to do it. An email list is another way to do it. Instafarm SEO pages is another way to do it. But that's where the true effect of this comes in, and what you have to believe in any lead gen strategy. Not just will blogging work for me? Will SEO work for me? Will a referral business work for me? Will a cold calling business work for me? Pick it and then stick with it. Really.
Yeah. Now I just wanted to touch. You created a. You did have a blog post where you were talking about kind of having that schedule, keep it on track. You actually interviewed a top producer, and he was talking about how he uses his daily schedule like that. And right. We can definitely try to link to this on the in the show notes or somewhere, or we can just go to Easy Agent Pro. I believe the post. Do you remember what the post was called?
It was like something, the perfect daily schedule of a top producer or something like that. We can link to it.
Yeah. Maybe real quick, just kind of run us through what exactly is going on there, and why is it so beneficial? You have you kind of have like it's real simple. You have notes, daily summary, and then daily activities. What do you? Right. How do you use that in your daily routine?
Right. I think I have one over here right next to my desk. But basically, I find out the one thing that matters to me. So last year at Easy Agent Pro, it was traffic. I didn't care about sales. I didn't care about leads. I cared about traffic and getting more of that, because then that yields everything else. So figure out what that one thing is. And then figure out how you can structure your day to achieve that one thing. So what are the core like 3 things that you can do today to sow seeds to grow that one thing. And then what I find is that, we start the day and we open up our email, and like I probably had like 108, maybe 200 emails this morning, and then like all of a sudden all that just goes to poop, and like you just forget about it. So what the daily schedule does is, like, I think it's on the right hand side, I have 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4. And basically that's your hours of the day. And then you have your goal over here, and then you have a little journal section where you write. So basically I write what I did in each of those hours. And so like right now from 9 to 10 Central, I would have put did podcast with Sean. And that's all I put there. In the next hour, I'm going to, I'll put my activity there. And then I put in the goal section, my goal for the day. That goal has to be tied to one of my core business goals. And then the summary, I just do, type of recap of, this came up, but overall I achieved those goals. Overall, I didn't achieve those goals. Next time, I'm not going to open my email until like noon, so that I can achieve those goals from 8 to noon, and then answer emails from noon to 1 or whatever it is. And if you find that you keep running into problems, like email's a big one, phone calls are another big one, that's just showing that's a good thing, right? Problems in business means you actually have a business. If you don't have problems, you don't have a business. And that's, like, think about that for a second. But like, those problems that you can't get to because you have priorities for something else,
right?
That's your opportunity to hire an assistant, to hire an inside salesperson, to hire a prospector, to hire whatever solves that pain point. And the cool thing in real estate is all been documented and done. Like, I mean, you can go on YouTube and watch interview after interview with like mega producer, and like, oh, I hired this person versus this one. Right. And so like those problems in your day that you might be facing, or the things preventing you from focusing all on that overarching goal, are great, because that means you have a business. People are emailing you. When people email you, that generally means you have clients. And then you just got to find a way to mitigate that in your time, so you can focus on the priority things and then once you focus on the priority things, you're focusing on things that are more higher dollar value per hour, which is where you want to focus your time eventually. So that's sort of how you use that schedule, tie it to one arching goal, and then, what to do if like you're finding day after day, week after week, you just can't execute on your schedule and that overarching goal. Like then it, becomes a question of, these problems are great, but I need someone else to help me solve them.
Well, that's it for episode 27 of the In the Lead podcast. Go ahead and subscribe in iTunes or Stitcher and leave us an honest review. For more great content like this, check out our blog at easyagentpro.com.